Hi everyone, En here, head of community at Livepeer, and welcome to this week's Watercooler Chat. Um, a lot of topics today, super excited to go into them. First, from me, some pretty exciting community updates. We are launching the delegator workshops. So we're going to be doing three, and we're getting those all booked now. One's going to be in Salt Lake, where I'm at. One's going to be in Abuja, Nigeria, and then the third is going to be online. And the intention of these workshops is, of course, to get more delegators on the network. So we're hoping to get at least 200 for at least a month. That's kind of built into how the workshop works. Um, and this is a kind of small scale experiment, and if we find success, we're going to ramp it up. But it's going to be super fun, and I'll be making a presentation for that, potentially leading the online one, and of course the one in Salt Lake. And then we have a community member, Winna, who's going to be doing it in Abuja, Nigeria. And it's super cool to have a presence in West Africa, and maybe we can get some West African orchestrators as well. So that is, I think, the biggest update for me. Otherwise, we're going to be launching a community suggestions box soon. So if folks have feedback, thoughts, perspectives that they want to share in a more maybe discrete format, that will be launching in the next few days, I think. So please definitely give feedback. And again, like I always say, you won't hurt my feelings. So, as honest as possible is always better. Um, so I appreciate anyone giving feedback there. Um, and I think those are all the big updates for me. Fireside's been going well, and we're going to have Aniche this week talking about GWID and gateways. So that will be a fun AMA conversation. Lastly, we're going to be launching a online video roundtable series. We're going to be doing deep dives in not only the infra side, but the user side, and trying to make a bigger presence amongst streamers. So we're going to invite some small to medium streamers, and really explore what they struggle with. Um, and also for the infra side, we're going to interview experts both within and outside of our community on the problem space, to get more visibility and become more of a thought leader, both in decentralized video infrastructure as well as in the streaming world. So trying to create new narratives, new perspectives, and hopefully you know hit some of them out of the park and get more growth for the network. Alrighty, so that's it for me. We're going to move on to our first topic, which was a call out to the new org update. I'm not sure if Mike, you want to talk on that, but I mean a bunch of people can talk on that here, I'm sure. But yeah, give us a rundown on what's happening there.
Well, again, I didn't know Rick was going to be here. I'm sure he could speak better on the latest updates, or even John from Lead Encoder. But basically, the latest software was released, 086. So, orchestrators, please update. The Livepeer Cloud Public Gateway will be updating in the coming week or two. So, that's something that if folks want to give it a try and upgrade their orchestrators, the gateway will be supporting it at some point in the near future. I think some of the major stuff, though, and again, if anyone else wants to jump in, it's basically there were some pretty gnarly bug fixes that was a disk space issue, was causing some orchestrator headaches with outages due to filling up the disk space. And I think more importantly, the new feature, which is the bring your own container support, is now in the latest release. So I think that's a huge win for orchestrators being able to run their own custom containers. So that's a big one. I don't know if there's anything else you want to call out, Rick or John, as part of that.
No, I think you gave mostly everything. The only thing I want to call out is thanks a lot to also the framework SP, who together with Inc. and the ASP really quickly worked on the The disk space issue, it was not an easy issue. That's why the frameworks SB really did a lot of debugging, wrote a report, and then basically based on that we could solve it. And then big congratulations for the AISP for now having released to bring your own container. Apart from that, I think you already gave an overview. It's an important update for the orchestrators to do because it's critical fix. Otherwise, your transcoder can run out of disk space and you can do no jobs anymore. And lastly, in there are a lot of real-time AI network updates that are important if you are now onboarding the real-time AI network. And there was another announcement from Rafal that we are now allowing more people onto the Livepeer real-time network. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
Yeah. So did people hear it or at all? Or
Yeah, we heard it.
I heard
It
you.
was just low. It was just low, but it was understandable. I would have said something if it wasn't.
okay, the summary was just thanks a lot to the
Oh wait,
framework
some people are
SPE
saying
as
no.
well.
Repeat.
Okay, I will be even shorter then. So yeah, in this update, I think Mike said it already. So bring your own containers on there. Congratulations to the AISPE. Also, the disk space issue was really a collaboration between Inc., the ISPE, and the frameworks SPE, where the frameworks SPE really did a lot of low-level research to see what actually caused this issue. It's now into this release, and it's important for people to update. Otherwise, your transcoder on certain segments can become full, preventing you to do transcoding jobs. And if people are more interested in what was the use case, I will ask the frameworks SPE to share their reports.
Yeah,
I have a
that would be
question about
useful.
the.
Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I was going to say I have a question about the bring your own container sort of productization. Is there any sort of like container discovery platform for the orchestrators who want to compete for the job? So like uh, if you're using a gateway and you have a specific container that you want run, do you have to do like off-chain social coordination to get orchestrators to have it available and loaded, or do they like discover it as part of the job type request and can do like a cold start download of it automatically?
Yeah, yeah, we have John here as well, but I think I know the latest update from Brett. I had a call with him last week. I think he's not in the audience, and I've offboarded from the AISP right now. But as Brett told it right now, the orchestrators have to specify the job they want to run. For example, the agent SPE job, that is now on the Livepeer network. The reason being that there's also, of course, a security yeah, it's a problem that you have to solve if we really allow any container. That takes a little bit more work. John, do you have anything else to add to that from the Bring Your Own Container? Why it was created or anything else from your group?
Yeah, I can add a little context to that. So with this change with Go Livepeer, it's really the foundation of BYOC architecture and AI runner and routing work through. Currently, as Rick mentioned, you do have to go ahead and define which, those constraints are defined in AI models.json for what's available and so forth. One of the improvements that we have with this change is that containers can register their capability to the orchestrator. So it's a very generic approach, so that as we continue to add more pipelines, there's not a lot of code churn and changes needed to Go Livepeer to support additional work types on the network. The discovery
Got it.
route
Okay,
process basically is the same currently.
got it. So it's sort of like an orchestrator first services offering at the moment. And I know this is just like the technical foundations for a lot of directions it can go. But for now, orchestrators would say, hey, I have this capability. Um, but because there's a BYOC architecture, it just makes it a lot easier to sort of try out marketing those specific capabilities. Uh, and then the demand can use them. It's not like the demand just shows up and then all of a sudden orchestrators, if that software.
Yeah, we do have a sort of an example of like a more universal container. We're looking at different approaches to that as well, but yeah, in general, keeping that same approach, the benefit is that we'll be able to see more orchestrators try new things out. So let's say a user of the network wants to try something out, they can talk to the orchestrator community and get that deployed without having to actually make a lot of code changes. Hopefully none, other than their own
absolutely.
configuration.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
and then John, the next steps, of course, is slowly improving like the communications. I think so that the word talks about also having the same stack there between real time and batch maybe, and then also eventually maybe running it in VM to improve the security, and then and in the future maybe you guys can release it if I'm correct, just as a way to run really custom containers within the real time or within the video domain.
Yeah, our immediate scope now is looking at processing our batch pipelines with Comfy UI as a generic backend for both live video and batch processing, unifying the way we interface with executing batch jobs and all types of work. Also opening up the avenues for bringing any type of AI inference workload into a custom container. The trickle protocol is one that we use currently for live video that we're considering standardizing for batch as well, but Brad has already built a really good proof of concept using the current protocol for the other batch pipelines.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting opportunity as well, because we had a lot of partners ask about if they could put their container on the Livepeer network, and this makes it a lot easier because the core team doesn't have to do all the changes to route it to the core network stack. For example, partner that we had was the HSP, which Brad worked very closely with. We have other partners that are not just disclosed stream TV. Also was interested in running things through the container. So it really improves, I think, the time from like products that want to onboard to the Livepeer network towards getting them on the Livepeer network, because there are a lot less changes that have to be done.
Yeah, very exciting. This has been a long time coming, so it's great to see it finally coming to fruition. And thanks for the ASP for doing all that amazing work. Any other comments on the org update?
So I have a question regarding the BYOC architecture, and we're discussing how exactly the pricing should work, and I'd be wondering if there is any documentation that describes the relationship of capability price, ticket TV, and face value.
Yeah, I think
So,
John knows the latest discussion about the pricing. I had my latest discussion about pricing with Brett was 3 weeks ago.
Thank you, Rick, and also, excuse me, and also the second topic about BYOC architecture is what kind of privacy features can be utilized, because currently we tried, let's say, we tried to put different job descriptions for each of the 6 orchestrators that the participant detects, and that still leaks the gateway and the orchestrator side both. So I'd be wondering if there are any kind of privacy features for orchestrator jobs, and to send directly job to specific orchestrators, for example, in the future.
There is some
So-
work going on for like a web-based gateway. I think that would. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
No, I just want to clarify the question because I didn't fully get it. So define, are you hinting that you have jobs that you want to run, but you want to be able to choose which orchestrators you can run them in, so you know that you only run them on the orchestrators that you trust? Is that the question?
Yes, I'm not hitting on this. We want to do that, and the reason we want to do that is because each orchestrator will be able to run their own agent with its own state, so that will be a different job. It's not all the job. It's not competition for the same job like traditional pipelines. It's more of a direct send to an orchestrator. It's agent SP job. It's agent job, VTuber job, but it's for that orchestrator. It does not. The rig orchestrator does not compete with the John orchestrator, the mic orchestrator. All of them, they're getting jobs for their orchestrators, if that makes sense.
So you want a container with a state, and the states is different among the different orchestrators.
Yes, correct.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't have the latest, the latest mechanism for that. I see that Brett is not here. I didn't talk with Brett on this yet because the prototype that you currently have, I think it assumes the container that you created. But I don't know how you sent your state, but initially you could send also the state information with that, I think, but we haven't talked about this yet. Maybe John has an answer in the meantime, but otherwise I think it's best to discuss this with Brett directly, that you have this problem, and then Brett can work with you to get the right tools into the bring your own container pipeline for you to use.
Yeah, but typically the gateway brokers, the pricing and orchestrator selection as it is today is part of the node setup. So statefulness is not part of that. So I think there would have to be some architectural changes. And I would be careful about implementing stateful applications to specific orchestrators because that can be very difficult to scale up and to distribute state across multiple nodes. So I think if there's a conversation to go on there around that area, I'd be curious to know what approach we end up going down because there's a lot of pitfalls and perils surrounding distributed state. So I'd be careful around that particular avenue. But it's interesting problem. I just don't know if in the current node stack it's built for that at this point.
So how we try to resolve it is to give each of the 6 orchestrators a different job title, and this should have worked if the job title wasn't leaked to the other orchestrators. So let's say that the job for kill out is leaking to Navigare, and it's leaking to all orchestrators on the logs. So if we are able to change the to change the logs and to set it up so that does not leak there, at least temporarily we can patch it through that fix, I think.
I see. So it sounds like you're having an issue with IP addresses leaking, kind of.
Not the IP addresses too, but the job title for the orchestrator. So we gave completely different titles of jobs for the orchestrator. So 6 separate jobs. We started sending to all of them at the same time, and on each one of them, and they get obviously the gateway, but on each one of them, the jobs that the other bring your own container orchestrator start was leaking. I can send you the logs if you are interested.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be something to look into. We can maybe add it to our project log for what we're building out in the AI runner. We're kind of building like a new AI runner implementation to support BYOC a little bit tighter integration. But as you were mentioning that, I just posted what I wrote up earlier. The server sent events are used by LLM to maintain state. I think that the concept still applies here. I'll talk with Brad a bit more about current implementation.
I mean, it makes sense. And do you have any, let's say, documentation or advice, the pricing question regarding the relationship of the TKTV, the face value, and the capability price?
I'm not familiar with the pricing changes in this this PR. I'll have to dig into that more. I see there's an external capability type that's defined, which includes this price scaling value and price per unit capacity. I think that might fit your use case, but I know Brad did a lot of the initial scoping on the requirements for this.
Can just send a message to Brad. Thank you so much for your answers, John, and I will make sure to drop you the logs later.
Okay, thank you.
And also, when we have roadmap updates from John, I think we can also, if we have more questions, go into it at that point too. But good conversation. So next up, we have the Berlin Agent Day. So yeah, please tell us how it went. I'm super excited to hear about it.
Okay. So we went to Berlin with Titan. The main takeaway from there was Titan's keynote. We had some, and by the way, many thanks to the Inc for to the Livepeer Inc for sponsoring that and giving us the opportunity to be there, showcase our work, get the ideas on the space, and see the kind of state that the competition and the other agent-related projects were super useful information and very illuminating. So thank you very much for that, Doug, and everyone on the Livepeer Inc. So we went there and we had a booth. There were some technical difficulties. The the TVs we had, it didn't have sound. The booths was a bit. It wasn't accessible. It wasn't on the best location, but we did the best we could, and we talked to people. We saw their work, and we took a lot of lessons on how we can make our next iteration even better. Um, Now, Titan then went and gave the keynote, which gathered massive Q&A, and people were really interested. They tried to approach us to find out what we were doing, how they could be part of that, and the people tried to, to check out if our agents compete with Neurosama and try to understand uh, what is happening. We, from the connections we did, we understood that on the specific category of embodied AI agents, and especially embodied autonomous AI agents, we have a competitive advantage. There are no other projects which do the kind of stuff we do with 3D avatars that they try to do them autonomous. You may find projects with 3D avatars, the projects that have autonomous agents, never both of them together. And the ability of the agents to, as we're looking to add, to actually compete in the job market and get paid is something that I think really can get us apart. Because on the financial side, we saw a very interesting keynote about Gnosis financial agents, which they're able to transact and with extremely good results and win ratios. But they are most of the efforts that we saw, they are focusing on the trading side. So there is no yet that much exposure on making the agents becoming able to produce general GDP tasks, which I think it's an enormous opportunity for the network and in general for every kind of entrepreneur. Um, so once we finished with the keynote and the booth, we went and met other with three people. Tyler met a lot of he gave the full list to Carlot, and I did the same about not only technical people but also from all the breadth of Web3, including marketing, including influencers, etc. Now, the biggest, I think, connection and development we did was that we discussed with legal engineers, which were working on establishing regulation and pushing regulation in the US for creating legal entities for autonomous agents. And this is exactly what we were looking for. So we found the right people, we discussed with them. Now, what they told us is that basically, so that I will write it here. So I wrote the name of the legal firm people we met. And so they specialize on autonomous economic zones. And they were basically telling us that at this point, it doesn't exist anything at all nowhere in the world. Yes, Joseph, yes. We have discussed with Risa, just explaining the kind of conversations we had to understand the current landscape regarding the regulatory status on the autonomous agents. So right now, nothing exists, completely nothing. And this is becoming a major problem because imagine that you have an autonomous agent and you're a company and you stop existing as a company, but the autonomous agent continues to exist. So this creates an issue because the agent is headless and it's just running around and you don't know what it does. There's no control. So the regulators are starting to approaching this, but there's just not enough eyes yet. The people we talk with, they said that you go to governors of special economic zones and you start to push the regulation from there. And what you basically do is to coupling the financial the financial legal responsibility, because you still have I think civil responsibility for what the agent does, but you don't have financial responsibility, so you can have the agent has its own legal entity. So I subscribe to LESA, which is a very new, let's say, a team of people association that tries to also push that, and we're trying to do anything in our power to bring that forward to help in anything that they really need, including running experiments with agents and legal entities, and helping with Ricardian contracts if that is possible, and translating Ricardian contracts to smart contracts. But outside of that, because this is the most crucial thing we need to do to have the agents making money in the network and in orchestrator containers, till this is done, and what the legal engineer said that is that this is probably going to be done till the end of the year. We're already exploring ways to use our own legal entities, our own LLCs, to facilitate the economic activities of agents in the containers of the orchestrators. So those are the news from both the Berlin Day and the regulatory side of autonomous agents. On the other news, we're pushing the pipeline. We're doing improvements, and we want to actually put the wall logic for the autonomous agent once that is fully bug free, and we have made sure that has all the quality controls. It most probably gonna be next week. There is a chance that we're doing it this week. Once we have that out and it's tested from the 6 orchestrators and we're sure that everything is right, then we can just start the waterfall launch and everyone will be able to receive calls and jobs for running the agents. Just to give you an idea of what you should expect regarding incentivization on the jobs payment is relevant to the swap price from LPT tweets that we're doing each week. So this week was about the $3 per hour in Ethereum, which is, we think, a very good opportunity for the orchestrators to just to adopt that. And just a last note for anyone who has missed it or wasn't in the previous firesides or didn't read our post, our intent is really to create a flywheel of economic development and inference for the network. So the idea here is have orchestrator GPUs produce inference, which produces intelligence. Intelligence produces economic growth, so the agents are able to make money. The money that the agents are making, they're able to invest in the network to buy more to buy more inference. That leads to better orchestrator yields. The better orchestrator yields lead to better GPUs, and better GPUs lead to better inference and more intelligence and more money, etc. So this is the whole idea. This idea assumes, of course, that the orchestrators will buy new GPUs and that the agents will be able to auto improve and increase their economic activity with intelligence. For the last two items, we're making sure that whatever we can do to make it measurable and to make to create benchmarks that they very accurately reflect that. And once the version 0.2.0 is out, we will exclusively work for on the benchmarks and the measurements till those are done. On the first side, we think that there are great tools in the incentivization toolkit to make sure that orchestrators invest profit for GPU acquisition and inference. So that's the updates that we have. I don't know if anyone here has any questions. I'll be very glad to.
There's a question in chat, do you find, from Authority now?
Example job for the agent could do by itself. Yeah, sure. So the idea before the general task went is that you have the VTuber where you're able to put it as a streamer everywhere, and the immediate monetary income of the streamer can be the donation of the viewer. So just put any of the avatars to Twitch and any other platform, just have it make money. This is the simplest, lowest effort kind of job that you can do. Now, on more complex jobs, you can imagine that because the agents are embodied, they can basically project themselves in any virtual surface. So they can have Zoom meetings. They can go to Google Meet calls one-on-one. So they can act as coaches. They can act as your virtual friend and supporter. They can act as your coworker even. There is just no limit of economic activity that the agents are able to produce if you see it, if you extrapolate in a long enough horizon. Currently, you may have 10 or 20% of all the digital GDP tasks being able to be done by the agents poorly or well. We don't really know. There are no statistics on that. Now, if you think that on about 40 trillions is the approximate digital market right now, and half of that is wages. So if you just think that the agents have no entrepreneurship, they cannot be entrepreneurs, which is not accurate. They will be able to um, think and have entrepreneurial ideas. But if you just think that they are workers, they just plug in on the existing uh, GDP digital asset activity, you have a 20 trillion market, which in a long enough horizon, as we talked before, you will be able to have 80 to 90% of the tasks being able to be done by the agents. So that's the idea. I see Jason's post.
Awesome, thanks.
No. It's that too, but yeah, it's. I think I explained it.
All right. Any other questions on that for Define? Okay, I think the next topic we had was payment pipelines. I think that was your topic too, Define, about how that's going to be working, or did you already cover that? I think you might have touched on it, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to specifically talk to it.
Oh, we discussed it with John. I'm also discussing it with the
Okay.
participator orchestrators, so it's solved. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, I wasn't sure if we had. I know we had talked about it, but I wasn't sure if there's anything else you wanted to share. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Define. Yeah, I'm super interested in how everything shapes up. But I don't know. I want to try to use agents as well, so it'd be cool to see when all this is live. All right, Sean, did you have any updates for us that you wanted to share on a recorded line? Also, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
Oh, no. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I was saying the agents conversation is actually very interesting. Autonomous feels like very aspirational, but even semi-autonomous, like where you have humans kind of dictating what's going on, I think is like a really great next level of what we'll do with AI. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say a couple things. Try to also say one of the things without getting too much on the recording. But so yeah, so just first off, we got a lot of feedback, which I really appreciate for our kind of proposal, and just wanted to clarify some things about what we're trying to build right now. We've also worked and had a lot of conversations with both Brad and Peter just to clarify what is possible and to identify orchestrators that could help bring on initial, some of the new capabilities that we're looking at. And so we just used a framework. I'm just curious about frameworks a lot. I know we've started to talk about them here a bit, but one that we use a lot internally, and also like I took from, let's say, like just my earlier years of schooling, and also like working in kind of like education and frameworks, is like the Walt Disney method, which I'll drop here. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but just as a lot of problems get worked through, or thinking through about like how to actually make decisions, I find this is a really interesting way to kind of be able to do that. So I'll drop a quick little um I'll just drop a group here in the chat, and here you go. And so, yeah, so really just working through, never like sort of stopping the idea before it happens, and really dreaming at the top and then becoming really realistic. And so that was the approach we took with the last proposal. And again, we are like I am part of a company that is existing, but when we're working on live for things, I show up as Sean. We happen to have some team, and also a lot of the team members for the SPE do not work with or have any sort of like allegiance to origin stories as a company. The goal here is to bring in experts across creative industry and really let them help us both amplify the network and also identify problem opportunities. So we saw a little bit of that with Almer last week. I don't know if you checked the Fireside, but we were working through the AI DJ conversation that he's been building out. So we also have a demo and local hosts. And then also this week, yeah, part of what I wanted to share, we've been talking a lot about conversational AI as the first deliverable in the playground that we're working on. And of course, this can be used in a lot of different use cases. So you have many different uses of the primitives with the models. But one of them that we've been talking a lot about was self-taping with auditions and line learning rehearsal. And so actually one of our team members that we brought in for the pilot, again, he works separately, has his own career, wasn't really thinking much about AI except for the idea that like, you know, it's going to take a bunch of creative jobs and actually isn't solving any real problems. And so we worked through those with him to arrive at this self-tape audition idea, which we've been thinking about a lot since February. We started prototyping a bit, but of course couldn't put into the network yet because we have to add some new capabilities. But he just got cast in like a major Hollywood film. And he actually used an AI reader that we had him benchmark. That's another tool that's already existing to book the job. And he went through like a lot of the same problem solutions that we were working at and looking at for at scale in terms of like, you know, how much time it takes and needing someone to be there to actually do this task with you. And so he said because he was able to use the AI reader, you know, he didn't have the pressure of like a time limit or he had a friend there. He also, you know, you just paying for the usage of that, and because of that was able to like execute a really high level tape. And so it's really exciting. One, just as a career moment for him, but also the fact that this learnings of like how to actually use products that can be for optimization led him into like success there. And so the goal of what we're doing with the playground, right, we also want a proof of concept, some ideas. And again, this is all still really early, like we're still in like experimentation world to some degree, but by having the ability to amplify and have someone like that in our network and now in the Livepeer network to be able to showcase what's possible really will help us to drive usage in the real world again. So so really excited about that. And of course, as that becomes more public, Livepeer in general can do what it wants with some of the promotion around that. But yeah, I just wanted to stress again, it's very cool how everyone is working together to build a better, more resilient network and thinking about batch generations and other ways to serve the community. And our job and goal is to really provide this core deliverable of the playground that is, not only just a clear pathway for creative industries to implement larger workflows on the network, but giving them templates and ways in sort of an application layer that is open source that just makes it easier for people to interact with the network. We see, I think, over the next couple of months as Livepeer's brand gets bigger and, you know, there's so much cool stuff going on, like really making sure that there's also ways that people can use it effectively for what they want to try to accomplish. And I believe that we can do that in our in what we set out to do as a sort of collective of people from different parts of the industry and also technical teams. And I'll just drop you. I think it's like 6 more days left, and so it's quite early in voting. But oh, I just saw that Jason put it. Let's go. Nice. I just saw that it was ready for the voice cloning. So again, another example that's great there is right now we have the cloud playground on the SPE website, and it doesn't really like do much for a creative user, but it already being able to do things like voice cloning, let's say, we as the creative industry SPE can really work through what that needs to look like so people can already have a library to interact with. And so we're just not just giving them these kind of, let's say, just a model to use, right? And sometimes those models are maybe not completely even warm, or we want some other creative aesthetic to push production quality. This is all of the stuff that we're really looking forward to being able to do and to help with the network. So um, Navigator, I'm just checking here. Yes, I can show you. Sorry, I'm just checking through there. So what I can show you a couple of things that we've built already. We've done like 22 use cases, I want to say, or since 2023, like really understanding this. So there's a couple of POCs of like the different workflows because we're using them out on things. For instance, scene customization. While we're here, I'm just gonna pull something up for you quickly. We've been working with Mantle on a digital series, and
A
we
quick
have
note, Sean.
yeah.
I think it would be helpful if you guys did another fireside showcase of just like kind of the more explicit details and like kind of the proof of what you've been doing. I think that would be helpful. I mean, maybe folks in chat if you want to +1 that or -1 that, but I think that might be helpful. I know you're gonna do this week, but I think you maybe are not anymore. But maybe you can get back on the calendar there.
Yeah, sorry. Is this not? I was checking the chat, which maybe is not relevant to what we're talking about. The Navigars are just saying I don't understand what we're trying to accomplish
Yeah,
here.
well, I was
Maybe that
just
was
saying that
for
like
something.
it might be good to like kind of have it be like a more time block. Like you have examples that you present in like slide format. I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, sure. We can try to make that now. I guess the first piece thinking uh okay, so but can we actually just chat about it since we are in the chat talking about it? I feel like that doesn't
Yeah.
give
No,
us
you can
sort
chat
of
about it
the
now. I'm
further.
just saying that might be additionally helpful to kind of have the
Yeah,
more
yeah.
concrete visuals and examples.
Yeah, for sure. And I can put together a list, maybe drop it in general of like the pieces that we're acquiring from across. So in terms of the like initial value that we brought, we were able to really pinpoint where people are looking for um, AI support, right? Like where a lot of the things that are being pitched out are not in a form that is production quality ready or able for people to use. And there are a lot of ways that AI can actually optimize, just like how it's optimizing for large amounts of businesses. So in this case of what we're trying to do is if you come to Livepeer right now and you are not a like really technical developer, and even if you are, like how do you leverage the network and how do you leverage some of the pipelines and where do they exist, right, even capability wise. And so this is also part of the issue with like we need workflows where people can easily kind of say, okay, I need to make some kind of quiz with maybe personalized avatars for my live event, or I want to make a personal collectible for my like team event or for corporate or any of these pieces. And they can easily kind of go in and take models that are already put together for them and add their own input in natural language. So this is something we're trying to do on like just the basic level, which is creating that playground. And I'll drop an image of that now, and we'll like table some of this until I can get a couple more examples just like at my fingertip for you. But in terms of the reader and just in terms of like the AI audition, just stats on that, there are 40,000 self-tape auditions a day. This is before we start talking about schools, summer schools, any sort of casting agents, talent managers in the creative industries. Like this is people spend a lot of money on their career. It's one where you actually, actors might not make a lot of money, like in like, let's say compared to like a surgeon, but they spend a lot of money on materials and time. And so this is something that actually is needed, and they spend a lot of time doing these exercises. So it's not like, oh, I made 1 or 2 videos and then I left. It's like, no, I actually need to work with this tool for like maybe 2 hours at some points just before they get a tape that they can actually send off. And most auditions are now done this way. So it's actually even more important for people to have very high quality output for this. So we did some rough math, and like if you're spending it like let's say 80 you're spending 10 minutes using it, which is pretty low. We would say on average can be about 20 minutes, maybe be around 45-60 cents in terms of like usage fees to the network. And then of course these products can continue to expand as the tech gets better, as you're adding just like more features to them. But this is not about trying to build out like products that we go sell. This is really identifying specific places in the creative industries where the network can be leveraged to provide both value and also get that back. So this is another example with Almer's live streaming on YouTube. He has his own channel that goes in, but can do 24/7 live streams there. That's part of a larger network called The District. They have, I think, 169 billion views already on YouTube. And so these are networks that can then also leverage the technology inside of what they're doing by seeing like trustworthy partners kind of do proof of concepts for them.
Awesome, and I think there's some good conversation happening in chat, just about like how do we generate demand on network, and how do we explore experimentation versus concrete demand generation. So I think that I think at least for me, Sean, it would be helpful to have that. We can do an AMA again, or we can do. I don't think we should not AMA again. Sorry, we can do that presentation to kind of get those experiments super concrete and in a digestible format that the community can kind of see. But like I'd mentioned, I think advisory boards, hopefully, and Joseph, if you want to come up and chat about it, but hopefully those can help guide, where does the community think it should be best to, try out these experiments, and how much runway or how much, funds do we want to give those experiments, and what are the expectations. I think kind of setting all that stuff up, that accountability structure will be pretty helpful. But anything else, Sean, you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take authority, Newell's, because creators will use this tool, what tool? I just want to go through this quickly because we do have a clarity of what we're doing. So basically, it's not about creators. We're talking about small, medium businesses, independent production companies. These are people who have large brands, like sometimes multi-million-dollar budgets, things like this. Like we're talking not like sort of solo creator in the traditional Web3 sense. And what this does is provide a system of workflows for them to be able to leverage the Livepeer network for usage cases that we've already been working through. This was part of the pilot to really understand this. We worked with top experts, not just the actor that we just mentioned who's in this cast in the film about OpenAI, but across music, fashion, film, also at a not governmental, but like at a foundational level in a couple of key innovation countries. And so what Livepeer can do practically for us is be infrastructure collaborator, so that we're able to not only be able to more easily do our workflows as we work with other projects, but other people in the network who maybe have other creative SPEs can also bring that traffic in. There's like Refraction, and there's Stream ETH, there's Floor to the Floor. There's a lot of people around who I think would also leverage it if it was a little bit more tangible for the tasks that they're trying to accomplish on a day-to-day right now. This is driving demand across three main ways. So first, we're amplifying again with our network of people that we've brought in. The first example is through the proof of concept of the audition reader. We have a very strong network between myself, not Origin Stories, but myself and my career, Adam, who we brought in to really be able to tap into not just like the audition pipeline, but really top talent managers, casting agencies, like news sources and news sites about all of that. We're also working on this live stream concept for YouTube with Almer. He's doing this already on his own around AI DJing, but also with videos and visuals. And by being able to show that pre-OC to the district, which is a large conglomerate of YouTube channels who basically you need them to get licensing for all the top tracks, allows them not only to see what Livepeer can do, but how to easily be able to implement it into what they're being able to do. And the crossover piece that we're doing the playground with also is around broadcast events, because we have a production company that was also part of the pilot that we think has a lot of strong opportunities for demand, because they work in like sports broadcast events and also for fashion. And so we want to demo with just one concept for them to be able to make sure that they can execute this at a larger scale, because you start talking about 1 million viewers, and that's a lot of people to be able to have like a steady network. Not saying we would have 1 million to begin with, but we want to demo it up. And if they have something that they can actually use, they can use that across all of their productions. And that's it. I know I'm talking a lot. So what infra, what I don't. Okay, I think it's better. I'm gonna just put all of the POCs that we have together, because we have a Figma, we have the audition reader ready. We've been showing a lot of these things over the last week. I think things are kind of not clear, or they are clear and it doesn't seem like it's the type of value that wants to be added. So I think maybe in that fireside we can chat about that too. I would be really curious where or how the network wants people to come in and actually like, help build on it, and also where they see usage, or where you see usage is most valuable, because we've done a lot of this research to kind of understand that. But yeah, again, I don't want to, we're past the hour, so.
Yeah, so just so folks know, we time block this for an hour 30 at max. So if we do hit hour 30, we will kind of do a forced wrap unless people want to stay past a more constructed moment, because you can stay in voice chat forever if you want. No issue there. But yes, thank you, Sean. I hope that you can let me know if you still want to make the fireside. If not this week, of course, next week you could always do it as well. But now we have Rick with the advisory board update. Welcome, Rick. I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, can you hear me? Is my
Yes.
microphone correct this time? Nice. Yes, I just dropped some links in the chat for people that are not aware with the Livepeer Foundation, the advisory board. But I want to give a quick update about the Foundation Advisory Board. So the Foundation was launched at the start of the month. So there is like a Foundation launch form post in there if you want to check it out. Livepeer Foundation X launch post as well with more information. And I'm excited to share that the advisory boards were kicked off last week. So within the advisory boards in the kickoff, we had a lot of energy, a lot of very knowledgeable board members, both within the Livepeer community, so long-term contributors, as well as some really nice external experts. And this really gives a strong board for the advisory boards to guide the Livepeer product further from an advisory role. And also last week, the first starts they did, they looked at like the challenges, risks, and opportunities that are in the Livepeer network. They looked at like the real-time sources that we provided them, like the June dashboards, the Explorer, other sources, and also very important, the community survey. So the community survey, thanks everybody for filling it in. It was very valuable. We had more than 60 people fill it in, so it really gives a good picture about not only the sentiment of the people in the Livepeer community, but also about what the people in the Livepeer community think is important for the product. For next week, we have a meeting that's not async, but it's in person, for the advisory boards to really look at the prioritization of the CROs. Based on the CROs, create strategic pillars for the Livepeer product for 5 years, and then even deeper dive into the low-level tactical objectives to really ensure that we can hit the strategic pillars. For more details on this, there is a fireside, I think, this week, and I think it's Wednesday, if I'm correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Where Rich will also be joining, he will give more information about how the advisory boards affect the long-term product, meaning as the discussion in the chat, for example, how can he give accountability to SPs, how does it affect the SP proposal? So, or like how does the advisory board activity shapes the strategy of the Livepeer product? What are the processes that are in place and why are they important? And also have some first insights of the first advisory boards workshops. So if you're interested to learn more, you can join the fireside for more information. We're always available. Joe is also in the chat. You can ping me on Discord or anybody from the foundation team. And thank you for allowing me to give this update.
Awesome, thank Thank you. Super exciting stuff. Yeah, I'm excited for the governance one. I have it tomorrow, actually, the first workshop. So excited to jam with everybody on the advisory board.
Yeah, exciting times.
Mm-hmm.
Great to have everybody on board.
Awesome. So last up, but not least, we have the roadmap updates. I don't know if John's still here. Actually, oh yeah, he's in the audience. If you want to go over next week, if you're feeling like this has gone on for too long, but if you want to give the roadmap updates for the ASPE, feel free, Peter or John, if you want to come up. If not, we can save that for another time, or you could always post it in lounge or general. So yeah, just let me know if you still want to share.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I think we're a little early on our road mapping. Of course, we have an outline that's already available. I can work with Peter and we can get something published here shortly. But we're just starting. We just began meeting this week today to define the initial part of our roadmap with BYOC and ComfyStream. But I can probably give a really good update by next week on our full roadmap. And Peter's available. I can maybe add a little more context there, but otherwise we'll post an update shortly.
Awesome. Okay, short and sweet then.
Oh, it looks like Peter's able to join.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Peter.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. I just wasn't able to make the first half of the water cooler, but here now and figured I'd be available to answer any questions. And yeah, we're working on some initial prototypes so that we can deliver an RFC as soon as possible here for the BYOC roadmap and future work with ComfyStream, as we think that that's still going to continue being a very useful tool in our research, as well as for community members that want to integrate or rather use some of the capabilities there.
Yeah, and I'm happy to give a little more context into sort of some of the challenges and areas of focus that we have currently, just at a high level. We're working on improving the ability of ComfyUI to load models and unload models within a given real-time workflow, as well as trying to unify our batch pipelines around the ComfyUI platform to allow more scalability and generalization of our pipelines. So I think it kind of covers really where we're at, but I think we're going to have a much more reliable ComfyStream experience, as well as a better component for the network. One of the parts of this is the Livepeer Cascade vision, enabling creators, workflow developers, anyone who's a ComfyUI or AI artist, to build workflows in ComfyUI and then deploy those in the Livepeer network. We're still driving towards that vision. So we have two different tracks around that related to BYOC to improve ComfyStream's ability to essentially manage resources between different types of models and workflows.
Just to add to that for a second, that we kind of determined that ComfyStream is a great candidate for us to build against as our internally to use as kind of a demand partner, a virtual demand partner, since it has some of the abilities that are in demand by a few parties on the network to add to their existing applications. But right now, it's not very clear or clear at all how one could deploy, say, ComfyStream for their own purposes. That's what we're aiming to solve, as well as other containers that right now for demand partners that are bringing in.
All right. Anything else from y'all?
I know we have a draft document that lists our deliverables for our current SP proposal that's passed. So we'll continue updating that and set some timelines here for the next week, I think.
Very cool. And again, if you guys want some time in the fireside to go over that roadmap, feel free to reach out and grab some time there to do a share out to the community and ecosystem. Alrighty. Well, are there any lingering topics that folks wanted to address before we wrap up Water Cooler?
I had something small, and I hope it's not too late. I know this is kind of a
No, I
little
mean
longer.
we have an hour 30, so we're still fine.
Oh, okay. No, you mentioned early in the call about a delegator experiment that you are going to
Yes.
start working on. So I don't know if you're aware, but I can post some links in the chat here. But I worked on Livepeer's open pool. That's what we're calling it. It's basically just a way for orchestrators to use public pool software for free. I mean, Live Pool was one of those, but Nico's recently taken that down, so orchestrators can't use it. So I run that as part of my work with the grant node. I've been testing this open pool software, and I've converted the compute node orchestrator to be it's currently a private pool software. But the main reason I'm asking this is because one of the items on the roadmap for the open pool software is to pay out the pool members, the transcoders and the AI workers, to pay them in Livepeer tokens, and it would be delegated Livepeer tokens. So that would mean pool members will become delegators as part of joining a public pool. So I didn't know if it was on our back. It's on our back burner, a lower priority item, but I figure since you're actually looking at improving and increasing the delegators, this might be a good project that we could bring to the forefront and start working on it.
Open pool, let's
to get
go.
more actively staked.
Yes, I'm loving this.
Go ahead.
No, I think so. I can just give some more details on the plan for the delegated workshop. But essentially, it is kind of dual pronged experiment. One, if we can get more interest from non Web3 native folks, just onboarding regular people who might be interested in our mission and vision. And the second is, of course, if Web3 people are in Salt Lake or in Abuja or, online, anyone's welcome. It's not, Web3, it's not excluding Web3 personas, but it's kind of doing a more open public call. So, that's the first experiment. And then the second piece is, if we give small amounts, will people actually hold the delegation or will they, exit? So essentially it's for a month they have to be delegating. And then if they stop delegating within that month, then we don't give them the final LPT amount. So I think that the more we can make it attractive, right? So the open pool idea, I think, would super easily fit into this, where it's if we can sell people not only on becoming a delegator, but participate in the open pool, I can easily have that be a section where people, get engaged with that.
All right. Again, it was just when you mentioned it, you wanted to get the number of delegators improved. I figured, hey, if there's people with compute available and we can start paying those compute providers with the LPT token, that's like an easy pairing of new delegators.
Yeah, totally. And I think, it's more on if we can get that up and running, I can include that. I mean, what I'm hoping is that it's a success, and then we can continue doing the workshop for the next, quarters, whatever, as long as it makes sense. And if the open pool is, up and running, then I can easily plug that in and say, hey, and if you also have, a graphics card, if you have compute, then, here's a additional thing that you can do to gain stake in the network.
Yeah, I mean, open pool is live now, and it runs.
I thought you were saying it's because
it runs.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's up. It's live. It runs transcoding's there and AI inference is there, but it's a private pool, so you have to actually be allowed in for it to work, and there's only a limited number of people using it right now. So, but I've been doing a lot of testing on it using this compute node orchestrator. So I hope to ramp that up, but with all the stuff going on, I hadn't really had a lot of time to devote to it. But it sounds like there's some initiatives going on to improve delegators, I think this is a perfect place where, we could even start to look at migrating other orchestrators. I know Video Miner has some updates coming up in the future, and I know Titan's kind of got his pool on pause right now. So like maybe this will be an opportunity where more orchestrators can start using this open pool software, and they can start paying out an LPT as well. And to collectively, it just could be a good way to bring in more delegated stake. So just a thought. It was one of those things where it's been on my list for a while. You can read about it on that link I shared. But again, it just was like, wow, you're talking about bringing in delegators. I've been thinking about that for a long time. So anyway, it's kind of, off to the side of what you're doing, but also, relevant.
I think it's super relevant because, what I'm hoping, and this is just my, assumption, so we'll see what the data bears out, but what I'm hoping is that the people who are attracted to this, we're playing with some, and I'm talking to Maria about it, we're playing with some, I kind of like, vibes about what the event kind of like, what is the call to action, how do we frame it so people are interested in attending, and so we'll see who comes up, but I'm hoping it's going to be people interested in video, people interested in maybe AI lightly as well, people who have graphics cards. And then if those are the people who are there who have additional computation that they can give to the network, then that's when we would say, oh, perfect. Here's the second resource where you can actually utilize that computation for the mission of Livepeer. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. So just send me like what where I can include that, if it's live, or where you are in that process. And once you're able to give me, if it's a link, if it's a QR code, I can include that in the presentation and potentially have people either on that session, or if they want to sign up to attend another session, we can walk them through how to set up that on their computer.
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds good. I mean, it's definitely needs a little bit of work. The part of paying out an LPT, delegated LPT, is still in the work, so that's not live yet, but it is definitely on the roadmap and something we've been thinking about.
And that's a good
but I
comment.
can expedite it. This is something.
Okay,
sorry,
cool.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that like there's I know that like IRL events are kind of, they're more challenging, but I really feel like there's a lot of like easy wins that we can have in terms of community building, right? Like I do a lot of local community building in Salt Lake, and I just have an event. It's a hyperlocal community practice, and I have been running it for a year and a half, and we now have like over 80 members. 20 to 30 people show up pretty consistently. So sometimes just having an event, putting a call out, can get us another 5 to 10 really engaged people here. So oftentimes it's not too hard to get more folks in. It just takes a little bit of legwork on our end. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to get more of, where we can have these like satellite events with really clear messaging that really compels people to come. And that can be on the delegation specific one, or it could be on, have additional computation, come to our workshop and learn how to put it to use. Right. So there's a lot of opportunities here to get rolling on this.
Okay, cool. Well, let me. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and see what I can do in terms of planning and resources, and see if I can get this off the ground. At least the delegated LPT part. But I definitely would like to help you in your cause.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and I'll probably be designing the flyers and everything either this week or next week. And the first event will be probably in later July, at least in Salt Lake. Abuja might be a bit sooner. And then we're also going to do the online one in late July as well. So you have some time, and I'm making the workshop this week. In addition, last call for folks, I'm wanting to make a workshop for delegation, orchestration, and gateway. So if anyone wants to help me out with creation of specifically the orchestration and gateway workshops, I know GWID team is in here, and of course so many orchestrators are in here. So if anyone wants to help me there, I'm not an expert yet in either of those, so I don't want to, but I don't want to mess it up.
Well, hey, Livepeer Cloud always willing to help. I mean, we
Period.
have multiple years as an orchestrator and multiple years running gateways as well. So
Okay, I'll
we've
hit you
been
guys
running
up.
that production gateway. So we definitely, as you start to dig in deeper, ping me or Speedy Bird will be more than willing to, help you out.
Amazing. Okay, well that is it. I think on my end, thank you, Mike, for all that support, and excited for the open pool as well. Getting paid in LPT as well as a pretty big win, and I think something that can do a lot of good stuff as we continue to build out delegators. So yeah, any other comments, questions, last thoughts?
I have one last comment.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot to mention that Dane did added an amazing utility on the game side, which enables you to basically pass any kind of string and introduce chains from outside to the inside of the game side, the Unreal Engine. And we're wondering if we can showcase that on the next fireside.
Sorry, I missed the. Could you repeat what you're showcasing? For some reason, the audio is not.
Oh, my God. So, Dane, our animator,
Oh,
which
okay.
is on the audience, did an amazing utility addition, which enables you to pass data from outside of the game side to inside of the game side, the Unreal Engine.
Okay, cool.
And we think that this is very radical, and we're wondering if we can
Yeah.
showcase that on the next fireside.
This week or next week?
Next week.
Yes. So I think we should have some slots. So just DM me, Define, and I can get you guys set up.
Okay, thank you so much, then.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks everybody. I was looking at some data. This is the last comment for me, I promise. Well, I was looking at some data over the, we have an activity bot in the server, and I was looking at historic data because I'm a data nerd, as always. And we have had immense growth over the past year specifically, but especially over the past 2 years in terms of how many people are here, how many people are working on things. So I just want to give a hat tip to everybody here who's making the network possible, and who's really pushing on this vision of building the world's open video infrastructure. We're making ground. I know it's sometimes even for myself it's hard to zoom out. But I zoomed out, and I hopefully maybe I'll share this at the fireside. But I zoomed out, and I was like, wow, this community is more active than it's ever been. So give yourself a pat on the back, and I thank you for continuing to show up and continue to build. I think what we're doing here is really important. So anyway, thank you all for attending, and we will see you on Wednesday for fireside. But if not, we will see you in the future sometime. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Thanks, y'all. Shout out to the Cloud SP. Rocking it.
Woo!
Holla. Let's go.